Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss my favorite credit card. A subscriber asked the question, what is your favorite credit card? And when I first read the question, I thought to myself, this is a pretty easy answer. It's going to be in the card that I use the most, which is my American Express Gold card. But then I stopped and thought about the question for a moment and realized that that actually isn't really my favorite credit card. My favorite credit card is the one that has truly elevated my travel experiences ever since getting the card, and that is my American Express Platinum card. I absolutely love this card because it has really made travel a lot smoother and easier ever since I've gotten this card. For the longest time, I used to think that the American Express Platinum card was a card just for flash and that most people got it to try to flex on people, and the card wasn't really very good. But ever since getting this card, I realized just how valuable this card can actually be. And if used correctly, how awesome of an addition it can end up being in your wallet. Now, while I do really like my American Express Gold card, and I highly recommend that card to a lot of people, I can definitely see myself getting an alternative to that card. But when it comes to my American Express Platinum card, I do not see myself canceling this card anytime soon. Now first, let me go over the different reasons why I love this card. Now for those of you who are unaware, the American Express Platinum card is a luxury travel charge card that has a $695 annual fee. Now even though the card does have a close to a $700 annual fee, there are a bunch of perks and credits that are connected with this card that can easily help offset it. Amex actually says that the American Express Platinum card, when it comes to the different credits connected to it, has over $1,500 in value that you can end up getting from it. I do think that there are a lot of people that end up taking advantage of a high percentage of these credits to easily help offset that annual fee. I'm going to go over the different credits and perks that I use with this card, but before I do, I just want to go over the earning potential with this card. This card gives you 5x back on flights booked directly with airlines. It gives you 5x back on Amex travel, and then also gives you 1x back on all the purchases. Now, when you end up looking at the earning potential with this card, it's actually not incredibly high. And this is the reason why when I used to look at this card years ago, I used to think this card wasn't a good card because yes, 5x back on flights booked directly with airlines is an awesome category to get that higher multiplier in, but then getting yourself 1x back on all the purchases is just so low. And I do know a lot of people who actually end up having this card. They use this card on all of their purchases, and I just think that ends up being a terrible use for this card because there are many other cards out there that can give you higher multipliers in a variety of different categories. And also there are a bunch of cards out there that will just give you 2x back on all of your purchases, which I think will end up being stronger for most people as compared to just getting yourself 5x back on flights. So if you look at the American Express Platinum card by itself, I actually don't think that is a very good card. However, if you actually pair this card with another card, like how I do with my American Express Gold card, I think this card actually works really well in a team. An analogy I could give you is that this card isn't going to be the quarterback or the main running back that's getting all the yards. This card is going to be for the goal line. It's either going to be a tall tight end who ends up catching a lot of touchdowns or a short yardage halfback that you use in crucial situations. The American Express Platinum card is there for the big plays. Now, even though I usually try to book award flights, there are a number of occasions where I actually do need to purchase a flight. And then even if I do actually end up booking an award flight, when it comes to the taxes and fees, I love using my American Express Platinum card to get that 5x return. Now, I want to go over two benefits that are connected with this card that are absolutely awesome that I would not pay for, but I'm incredibly thankful that they're connected with this card. The first one is going to be the lounge access. Now, if you actually end up looking at how much lounge access costs when you end up looking at something like Priority Pass cost ranges from the low being $100 all the way up to close to $500. I absolutely love the lounge access they actually end up getting with my American Express Platinum card because there are numerous times where I actually end up showing up to the airport early and I might either end up being hungry or I just want a comfortable place to sit before I actually end up heading over to my terminal, and then having myself lounge access ends up being key. Now with the American Express Platinum card, you get yourself access to Priority Pass, which is over 1,300 lounges, and also you get yourself access to the Centurion Lounge, and if you happen to be flying with Delta, you get yourself access to Delta Sky Club. Now many of these lounges you can access with a fee, but usually the fee ends up being way more expensive than I'm willing to pay. But since I'm allowed to go to these lounges because I actually end up having the American Express Platinum card, I take full advantage of them, and I usually end up hitting them up at least a dozen times throughout the year, which allows me to save myself a ton on free food and drinks just before my departure. Now, I don't use it 100% of the time when I travel. However, knowing that I do have this ability when I decide to go to the airport ends up being an awesome perk to have. Now, another perk that I wouldn't pay for, however, I truly love it ever since they've added to this card, this ends up being the Clear credit. Now, Clear, for those of you who aren't aware, ends up being a service that allows you to skip to the front of the line. Now, at first, when I actually got Clear or they added it to the card, I was thinking to myself, I already have TSA pre-check. This already allows me to go to a quicker line. I'm not gonna need Clear. This is kind of a dumb perk that they've added on. But ever since actually using Clear, I absolutely love it. There have been times where the TSA pre-check line has actually been quite long, and then being able to just jump to the front of that and then skip through it. Every single time I go to an airport that actually has Clear, I promise you it's under 5 minutes that ends up taking me to get through security. There are some people who go to the airport and it takes them an hour and a half, 2 hours almost every single time they go. I remember when I first began traveling, before I even had TSA pre-check, where I'd be happy if it took under an hour to get through airport security. But now I can always just skip right through it. It is so smooth, and Clear is honestly an awesome credit, and I hope that the American Express Platinum card doesn't get rid of it. And if you actually already happen to have this card, then I definitely recommend for you to sign up for it, because you don't realize what you're missing out on. Yes, it ends up seeming so minimal, but when you actually start to use it, you realize just how nice of a feature it actually is. The lounge access and the Clear credit are two perks that I absolutely love that connected with the American Express Platinum card. These two perks alone can truly help elevate your travel experience. If you actually look at the value of both of these perks, they're pretty close to offsetting the annual fee just with these two perks combined. Now let's actually do a rundown of the other credits that are actually connected with the American Express Platinum card and show you how easily I can end up offsetting my annual fee. The first credit ends up being a $200 Uber credit. This credit is broken up throughout the entire year. You get yourself $15 a month. It is use it or lose it. And then the month of December, you end up getting yourself an additional $20. So it ends up being $35 in the month of December. Now this credit can either be used for Uber rides or Uber Eats. Occasionally I end up using this credit on Uber Eats when I'm not traveling. But if I am traveling, I just use this credit to get to the airport for my next trip. Next ends up being the airline fee credit. Now you end up getting yourself $200 in airline incidentals with one specific airline that you end up connecting with your American Express Platinum card. This credit can be used for checked bags, in-flight food purchases, lounge access with that specific airline. But there's also numerous tricks out there that if you end up just doing just a little bit of research, you can probably end up figuring out how to use this airline fees credit for airfare. I've read that with Southwest, you can actually trigger this credit if you purchase an airfare that's under $100. I've done this before with JetBlue. So with whatever airline you end up choosing, I recommend for you to just do a little bit of research to allow you to maximize the return for this credit. Next ends up being the digital entertainment credit. You get yourself $240 throughout the year or $20 a month, use it or lose it. Ends up being with one of either the streaming or online services that are connected with the American Express Platinum card. Now the two that I end up using end up being Audible and ESPN Plus. I actually already had a subscription with both of these services before this credit was even added to the card. So this easily helps knock down my annual fee because these are already two services that I'm going to be using. And there's a number of different services that are connected with this that many people can take advantage of, whether it be Disney Plus or Peacock. I think that most people will actually end up looking at this list, realize they can end up getting themselves the full value for this credit. Now, just from those three credits alone that I think are incredibly easy for most people to hit, you're going to get yourself $640 in value. So yes, this card does have a $695 annual fee, but just maxing out those three credits, you're going to bring the annual fee down to effectively only being like 55 bucks. I think that definitely makes it worth it for all the lounge access that you're going to have offered to you with this card. So now that I went over the credits that I think that are super easy, that most people are going to end up taking the full advantage of, I'm going to do a rundown of some of the other credits that are connected with this card. The next credit ends up being a $200 hotel credit that you end up getting when you end up doing a prepaid booking with either Fine Hotels and Resorts or the Hotel Collection. Now this can end up being quite a strong credit, getting yourself $200 back. I do think that for some people this may end up being hard to use because of the fact that some of the hotels that are connected with the Fine Hotels and Resorts and the Hotel Collection can end up being quite expensive. I know that the first year this hotel credit came around, I actually ended up not even using it because I didn't want to end up spending more money on a hotel stay than I normally would. But I do actually think this can end up being quite a strong credit. You just have to find the right use case for you to end up using this credit on. The next credit is going to be a free Walmart Plus membership. Now, when this credit first came around, I actually didn't even sign up. But funny enough, I actually made a video and someone from Walmart actually commented on the video telling me that I should sign up. So after getting that comment, I decided to sign up for it. And I've actually used Walmart a few times ever since that video I released and that person commented on it. So if you happen to shop at walmart.com, this credit can definitely end up being quite valuable, but you never actually know when you're gonna need to shop at Walmart because there's a lot of great things and a lot of good deals with Walmart. So I definitely recommend that if you actually happen to have this card, to sign up for Walmart Plus because you never know when you're actually gonna end up needing it. The next credit ends up being the Saks Fifth Avenue credit. This ends up being $100 towards Saks Fifth. You end up getting yourself $50 each half of the year. This is, again, use it or lose it. I don't really value this credit very high, but I've taken advantage of this credit to get myself some cologne and some nice underwear. So it's just been kind of a fun thing to get every 6 months. I do think that at some point I'm probably going to end up using this credit to buy someone a gift because there are a number of great things you can end up purchasing on Saks Fifth's website. And the last part that's connected with this card that I've taken advantage of ends up being Hilton Gold status. Now, I usually stay at Hyatt hotels because I actually have higher status with Hyatt, but I've actually stayed at some Hilton hotels for weddings, and I've actually been happy to just have Hilton Gold status, get myself either a food credit or getting myself free breakfast. Now, there are other perks and benefits that are connected with this card that I haven't taken advantage of, such as Marriott's Gold status or the $300 Equinox credit. But one big thing that I have taken advantage of that ends up being connected with this card that I rarely ever hear other YouTubers talk about ends up being the Amex offers that you get with the Amex Platinum. Now, I have a few different Amex cards, but the offers that I end up seeing that tend to be the best are connected with my American Express Platinum card. Just last year, I've got myself hundreds of dollars in cash back and also thousands of membership reward points. And the beautiful thing about Amex offers is that there are many of them that can actually stack with shopping portals. And a shopping portal that I love to recommend on this channel ends up being Rakuten. Now, Rakuten, for those who don't know, is an online shopping portal that allows you to get yourself either cash back or membership reward points. We end up using the partnered websites that are connected with Rakuten. Now, if you don't already have a Rakuten account, you get yourself $30 back on your first $30 purchase if you decide to use my referral link. And if you do actually use my referral link, it will really help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. Now, when I compare my Amex Platinum to all the other cards in my wallet, the American Express Platinum card gives me more value. The funny thing about it is that this card doesn't even sit in my wallet. This card usually sits in my travel backpack because I rarely ever use it because of the fact this card isn't a good everyday earner card. But when I do use this card, I end up getting myself excellent value, whether it be to access the Centurion Lounge, whether it be for Amex offers, or to get myself 5x back on flights. If you are someone who's trying to truly elevate your travel experiences like how I have, then I highly recommend looking into getting yourself the American Express Platinum card. But let me know in the comment section down below, what is your favorite credit card? Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do happen to be interested in the American Express Platinum card, I will have a referral link in the description box. If you decide to use it, it will help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. And if you happen to really like this video, then please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.